I have a new addition to my surf collection, Intoxica, the best of the Revels. The Revels started in the late 50s, which puts them a little before the 61 to 65 surf era. And their big song was Church Key, and they're with sax. I mean, that's the thing with surf groups. There's either a saxophone player in the group or there's not. You don't get the option of harmonica player or anything else. It's just sax or no sax. And this is really one of my favorite surf records. I bought this on CD, and their first album is entirely on here. This has got the first album and some outtakes. The first album is impossible to find, as you can imagine. They only did one album. If you look on Discogs, there's one copy in Japan for $500, and it's listed as only very good. I can't imagine paying $500 for an album that's just VG. And there's one in the USA, Very Good Plus for the cover, Very Good Plus for the vinyl, $1,500. This is for their one and only album. So you're better off just getting the collection, which has the entire first and only album from Sundays. They put it out, God, like 15, 20 years ago. I've had the CD for quite a long time, just recently got this. Next up, William Parker, Heart Trio. Picked this up from Soma Sounds in Maplewood, South Orange, right there on the border. It's got William Parker, Cooper Moore, who I don't know, and Hamid Drake. Hamid Drake is a drummer. Cooper Moore is a piano player, and William Parker is a bass player. But on this, he plays West African guitar. That's William Parker. He plays shakuhachi, a Japanese flute. He plays a bass dudek, which is an Armenian woodwind, Serbian flute, and ney flute. Cooper Moore, the pianist who's worked with David S. Ware and Butch Morris, he plays an ashimba, which is an 11-tone xylophone, and a hoe-handled harp. Hamid Drake's a drummer. He's played with Peter Brotzman, Matthew Shipp, Pharoah Saunders, Pierre George, Ken Vandermark, and I didn't mention William Parker. He's also played with William S. Ware, David Ware, and Matthew Shipp. So this is live improv, and it's got a real ethnic flavor to it, given all the ethnic instruments I just described, and but not overwhelming because it's only three guys, so it's not a full band sound, and there's plenty of room to breathe and listen to the different exotic instruments. And I'm looking forward to this. I haven't heard it yet. I've heard snippets online, but next up, I bought a couple ECM records at Soma Sounds, and that is a whole thing unto itself. It's almost irrelevant sometimes, the artist. Of course it's not, but ECM is one of those labels you buy for the label, and if you know the label, it was formed in 1969, and they did jazz, classical, and international stuff, and it's been described as intimate, but yet very spacious, the way they record the records, melancholy, cerebral, icy cool, and there is definitely a sound, whether you're listening to some of the international stuff or the jazz stuff, that if you get into that ECM sound like I do, you buy any record that you don't have on ECM. So this first one was Shankar, and Song for Everyone. It's international, global jazz, international fusion. He's a violinist, composer, who does jazz, rock, Indian classical music. In the 70s, he and John McLaughlin started Shakti, the acoustic jazz Indian fusion band. And also, it's kind of an all-star cast. He's got Zakir Hussain on tabla and congas, and Trilak Gurtu on percussion. Zakir Hussain is the master tabla player who was also in Shakti. Trilak Gurtu has got a huge resume. He's played with everybody from Larry Coryell to Ralph Towner to Philip Catherine. He was also in Oregon, the acoustic jazz fusion group. And the other ECM record I got, I don't know this guy, Steve Elovason. He's an African guitar player, and he's playing acoustic guitar. And well, the main reason I bought this is it's on ECM, but also it's got Colin Wolcott, who was a white guy who studied with Ravi Shankar, late 60s, early 70s, and became the main white guy who played tablas and sitar and these predominantly Indian instruments. And he was in Cadona too. If you know the three Cadona records, I love all three of them. Stands for Colin Wolcott, Don Cherry, do, na is Nana Vasconcelos, the percussionist. Don Cherry, of course, you know, pocket trumpet and all the other stuff. So this is going to be acoustic guitar and percussion. Haven't listened to it, but it can't be bad because it's on ECM. Got another copy of Dark Side of the Moog. This one is called Phantom Heart Brother. I mentioned in my last video how Klaus Schultz has done this series called Dark Side of the Moog, and a lot of the records are named, have Pink Floyd references in the name. And this is, if you like Pink Floyd and you want to take it a step further out, now this doesn't sound anything like Pink Floyd necessarily, but in spirit, if you really want to travel out into space after listening to a few of your favorite Floyd records, I would try one of the Dark Side of the Moog records. It's good, they call Berlinschool electronics. Last but not least, this takes some explaining. God, years ago, a friend of mine, Dave, who's since passed away, he worked at Rounder Records, and he asked me about polka and if I like polka music. And there's this guy, Jimmy Sturr, who every year won the Grammy for Best Polka Album. And we're talking like in the 80s. I think they've since got rid of the category. So he gave me like 5 or 6 Jimmy Sturr CDs. And it piqued my interest because I do like accordion. I mean, I like Flaco Jimenez and all that Tex-Mex stuff. I love Clifton Chenier and probably have the biggest Clifton Chenier vinyl collection, well, easily in my town, if not North Jersey. And of course, a couple other accordion records before I get back to polka. If you don't know Astor Piazzolla, Tango Zero Hour, fantastic. And Gypsy Waltz by Christian Escud Octet. I doubt you do know. Many people don't. And it's kind of gypsy jazz, which is a reference to Django Reinhardt and the Hot Club of France. It's got a couple guys playing acoustic guitar and accordion. And this is a lot of fun if you could find this. You'll probably never see it in the bins, but on Discogs it's under 20 bucks, I think. Back to polka. So anyway, that's my background with polka. Then I'm reading online last week about Stella Records in Hillside, New Jersey, that in the 50s and 60s was the definitive polka label, and somebody online commented that, well, anytime I see something on Stella Records, I buy it. I thought, okay, you know, I could use some polka recommendations, and I've only got a few Jimmy Sturrs. So I went and looked at Stella Records on Discogs, and most of the stuff is impossible to find. Dirt cheap if you can find it, but the albums are just gone, destroyed, thrown away. The best you could do is click to put you on the want list to alert you if one of these comes up. But from looking at it, I found another Jimmy Sturr orchestra. This is a 2-record set, and it's over 100 big band polka hits. Every song on here is a polka medley: pumpkin pie polka, clarinet polka, ballroom polka. And then in polka time, I think the Polka King and his orchestra was on Stella Records, but I couldn't find anything for sale. But then I found this. It's on another label, so I bought it. It was $3. Shipping was more expensive. So if you do get into this, and trust me, I prefer the instrumental stuff over the vocal stuff. More songs about pierogies I don't need, but the instrumental stuff is great. Like I said, it's kind of like listening to Clifton Chenier. It's very upbeat, and I have no problem with the accordion. So I got this, and the hunt continues, and there will be more, no doubt. Thanks.